Hello, my dear friends. It's Yuri Tsvetkov, and today I'm making the video about the golf statistics, the subject which is very highly related to our performance in the golfing. And this is statistics not about the game of the huge, amazing, and incredible golfers who are playing in the PGA Tour, but it's mostly about the not so serious figures in the worldwide golf, all over the golf. It's just my statistics. It was the calibration of the skills exactly playing with the 7-iron. And the weather was very bad. It was rainy, and it was less than 10% degree by Celsius. And I have tried to play, that all the holes in the GORKI Golf Resort. I have played by two balls. The first balls I play from tee and from the position the usual way, and the second ball I have started to play just from the distances for calibrating my approaches with the 7-iron. So in the first hole I have started to play from distance 110 meters. It's approximately 121 yards. It was its distance to the front of the green, and plus that from the front of the green to center, the distance is 18 meters. It's just for first hole, and the total distance this way is 128 meters, or approximately 140 yards. And the proximity on this hole on the first one was 16 meters, and mistake was to right. So it was not the GIR, because if it was the green and regulations, I'm just putting here one of the figures to calculate the number of the GIRs of regulation. We have the scoring here. It was 4, so it was 2 strokes to the green and 2 on the green. And the scoring distance in meters is the difference between the total distance in meters and proximity in meters. Just for my understanding, I have tried to analyze that if this figure will rise, it will mean that the efficient distance is rising also, so my mistakes becoming less valuable. In this connection, it was additional motivation for me to play from the that less distances than to walk in statistics with proximity and statistics accuracy, but not in distances, because sometimes we're just looking for the total distance 128 to 28. So great, I can play from the longer distances and so on, but the proximity is not improving. So on every hole I have made the same stroke from the same distance, from the approximately the same distances. I have changed them just this way. If I hit the more than necessary, I have changed, and sometimes I have changed also the from the wind, analyzing the wind direction, or for example, if here the distance was, you see that proximity to the meters 23, and it was more, but it was the stroke with the top, the topping, and in this connection it was not a good stroke, and so the distance was not results of the kindness of my stroke. So in this connection the distance was a little bit decreasing for the next try, next stroke. And the first 9 or maybe a little bit more holes I have played during the rain, and after that on the last holes it was not raining, it was the sun. In this connection the distances became a little bit longer, and it was not so highly influencing on the it was improving of the results on the last holes. So what we can see about the all statistics. First of all, I'm a very strong follower of the David Peltz and his books, the David Peltz, the Short Game Bible, and the David Pate's putting Bible, and he is writing about the 10% golfers. So if you have mistakes, which is approximately 10% from the total distance of your stroke, you're on the correct way. You can achieve quite a good results to be scratch or maybe at least single. So the probability of becoming scratch golfer is not so high. In this connection, you're walking on the correct direction. So my mistake was 12. So I'm not exactly so good to value me as possible to be scratch, but it's not so big difference. So it's not so bad. The scoring was 61, and it was 18 holes with par 4, so it's +7 on these holes. So the average result on the mostly we can say that it's like the playing the par 3 holes or making approaching from these distances. So in approaching from these distances, I have the average score 3.4. It's a little bit more than to be good because the distance is not so big. Yes, 121 meters only, 132 yards, but it's not so bad. The greens and regulations were quite good. As for me, it's maybe very good. 44%, it's a good figures. The scrambling was 33% from the last 10 holes, so the three holes from the 10, which I could not play in the green and regulations. I have safer pars on those holes. Also the very important for me the figure, it's the multiplying of the GEARS, greens and regulations percentage for scrambling percentage. I have seen that even for very strong golfers, if they have this result approximately 50%, maybe it's not so. Maybe it's better to calculate it in points, but not in the percents. But anyway, if they have results 0.5 or 50%, they were the best player in the money list in this year. So let's say that if he playing with the 70% of the greens and regulations and 70% of the scrambling, it was the figures which were available maybe just for Tiger Woods in some of his seasons, and we have hope that maybe the Rory McIlroy, he have started this season with such figures, but currently the season is not, that it was stopped after first day on the PGA Championships. And we have just very short statistics, which is not, which is not so serious. Just in the end of the season, we can see the total result. And the scoring distance meters, it's the difference between the total distance and mistake proximity. I have made it to understand, to be more motivated for the making a good to play with good proximity. Because anyway, we always try to have a longer total distance, but here we can see that the mistake must be very costly if we want to avoid such mistakes. So in this connection is just the that the price for risk, in my opinion, and this is the scoring distances meters. It's the it's performance which is valued excluding risks, that result of the risks. So it was 106 meters only. The total distance 121 minus 15 meters, so this was 106. And after that, I need to show you also the same figures, but for a little bit different. Just a second. Oh, I can't. changed it also the 7-iron, and it was played in the much more better weather. It was approximately plus 18 maybe. So the distances are a little bit changed. If we have seen the total distance, the average total distance in meters was 121. This time it was 135. So it was played on the same hole, but just first 9 holes. After that, I have started to play with my friend, and I didn't make the calculation. So the average proximity in the meters was 15 meters mistake, average mistake, and 11%. It's 15 divided for 137. 137. It's approximately 150 yards. It's a 7-iron again, and the scoring was on the 9 holes 31. I have made less gears, and the percentage it was only 33 gears. The scrambling was stay on the same level, 33, and the multiple of scrambling for the gears was 11, less than 15 that I had in the not so good weather, and the scoring distance in the meters also a little bit increased. It was 105 and currently it's 122. So we can say that it's my methodology for calibrating of the different clubs, and I'm trying to make it from the different distances, from 100 meters to the front of the green to 150 meters to the front of the green. And in next video I will show you my statistics with for the game, what exactly from 150 to the green, or approximately 150 to the green, 50 meters to the green. So I hope that this information will be useful for you, because you see that, in my opinion, it's highly important to understand your exactly your proximity, because you know that after such a practice, I'm feeling much more comfortable when I'm making approaches to the green. I better know in which environments and which weather I need to have, which one strokes I need to have, and I certainly have understanding about my reasonable mistakes. You see that here I have had mostly mistakes that I had less distance. It was 4 mistakes for the less distance that is necessary. So it's simply decided to just playing a little bit closer to the front of the green. On 2 holes I have more distance, and this connection is just result which is showing me that it mostly depends from the quality of the stroke, because you know that for such irons, you know, the mistakes from the left to right must be more than from front to back. And mistakes for the left and right were not so highly influensive. And mistakes for the right were just 2. Usually I'm making mistakes to the right when I making the stroke mostly by the hands but not by the hips, and the size of mistake was not so critical. In this connection you see that it's quite a normal stroke. That was approximately 10%, so in this connection the 10% mistake is not so highly influensive, and maybe it need not to be so seriously changed. And just 1 mistake was to the left, and I think that it was related with the tasking, the aiming also. I mean that the pin position on this hole was in the situation when it was very reasonable to play left because the bunkers and because other environments. So sometimes it's not exactly mistakes, but just the part of the strategy. I hope that those videos will be interesting for you, and they looks like the theoretical, because it's mostly about the figures, but by the fact it's about exactly about the practice, because you know that looking for such figures, sometimes you couldn't do it for yourself. In this connection, when you're playing with the caddy or the overall coach, maybe it's just mostly the job of the overall coach, because when he's looking and he can give recommendations to your swing coach, or maybe if he is working for you as the caddy, as a overall coach, and as a swing coach, and I'm going to develop myself in this direction to be independent instructor who is working in the different clubs here in the St. Petersburg area. So in many cases, it's a part of my profession, and I'm trying to be very attentive about it. Certainly, it's necessary to improve these statistics by the aiding the scrambling, because the scrambling become a very valuable aspect. And I need to say that, let's say that if you are not making the let's say that here, for example, yes, it was Jura, sorry. Let's say that here, it's just 60 meters from the green, but I have made the 3 strokes from such a distance that it's not so good quality. It's necessary to be improved, and the same situation on the 8 hole, on the hole number 8 and the hole number 9. Have a good game, have a good golf, all over the golf. Hope to see you on my channel. Will be thanks a lot for any of your comments and the that additional information. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.